Today's episode is brought to you by Studio. Use the discount code LARGEMARGE to get 15% off any purchase today.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's Holiday.
Get down off of my car, please, and get up on the sidewalk.
What year is it?
It was brand new.
No. What year is it?
1995, remember?
95.
You got some ID? Oh, let me guess, you probably left it in the other Tarzan outfit, right?
26 years.
Are you from around here?
I was. But I've been in Jumanji.
Indonesia. He was in the Peace Corps.
Carl Bentley, the soul
Is this man related to you?
Yes, sir. He's our uncle.
Does he always dress like that?
Well, yeah, he's vegetarian.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And today we did something a little different to pick out our movies. Sweetie had the bright idea here to pick 5 movies from our master list and put them in a hat, so to speak. Nobody ever uses a real hat, do they? I don't know. Maybe if you're a guy.
I look for hats at the dollar store. They're slim pickings.
I mean, we have several hats here, so
I know, but I want something really kooky. I found these really funny winter hats that I thought would have been cool, but
you didn't get
they're
them.
called Peruvian hats. You know those woven ones with the long ear flaps?
Why did you get it? It'd probably be super cozy for winter.
Well, they only had child sizes. They had only, and then I found some adult ones. But I was
that's ever
I
stopped
don't
us
know.
before.
Dollar store Peruvian hats. That's gonna unravel in a day.
Have you seen our other dollar store props? We have a lot.
Yeah, but they were plastic.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we put 5 movies into a little baggie and we picked them out one by one to determine the order of movies watched this month. So, podcast cat Desmond picked the first pick and he chose Jumanji. So
Jumanji. No, I just like saying it like that. If everyone remembers the commercial from the board game, it was this intense Jumanji.
it's pretty good. Made me want to buy it, and I did. So
we totally did.
Good
But yeah, I thought this would be a good way to just knock out movies that maybe we just keep delaying, which I feel like Jumanji was totally one.
I think we just have too much to pick from.
Yeah.
We're looking at that list, and then we throw things out to one another.
But then sometimes we'll just add one do one that's not even on the
Yeah,
list. So then
so
we're
it's
never going to get to the list.
Yeah.
So it's a good way. And randomly, I saw some, New York Times I put on Twitter because there's a Jumanji sequel coming out in December around Christmas. And then they did a whole, they published an interview that they did with Robin Williams when the original came out. So I thought that was kind of cool. And obviously love Robin, miss him to pieces. And that was really cool. So, and it reminded me of hey, yeah, Jumanji, man, good movie. And you know what? I enjoyed myself tonight. This wasn't bad.
Good. I'm glad.
This wasn't one we were dreading, right? That's Hook.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that we've been
Which I'm still not 100% sure why. I think we just started watching it one time and we were I'm bored.
It's kind of slow.
Yeah.
But I don't love Neverland.
Yeah. So Jumanji, made in 1995, based on the children's book Jumanji, written by
Chris Van Allsburg, also author of The Polar Express. So for me, 2 major books, picture books from my childhood. I don't know if you've ever seen either of his, but he illustrates and writes the stories. Jumanji is awesome. All the illustrations are these beautiful black and white, not charcoal. It's pencil, but it's gray kind of pencil drawings, and they're really simple, the most beautiful drawings, but awesome story.
Oh, it's weird that I've like seen this cover a lot. Like I remember seeing it in first grade, but I never connected that with this movie for some reason.
Yep.
I don't know why.
So he always won like the Newber, the whatever, the Caldecott for the drawings. Yeah, so I was just like obsessed with his books when I was little. And then, but really, as we have talked about books or board games to movies, this is like a little bit different because you're talking about a book that was about a board game that they turned into a movie.
And then made a board game about after.
Like full circle,
so it's
man.
pretty confusing.
But perfect story really to make into a movie.
Sure.
It was awesome, and one totally made for like live action too, right? Because I mean, we'll tell you what it's about in a second, but it kind of just it fits. So I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't remember liking this movie as much as I did, and it had some good laughs. We laughed, we cried, we gasped. We gasped a couple times. We went, "Oh no!" quite a few times, and I think that's a good sign of a good movie, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked this, and when I was little. I was pretty little when this came out, 95, so I was in third grade maybe. Yeah. And I remember my friend and she had this like awesome barn kind of place that was like half furnished, but like at the top, and we played Jumanji as if like not the game, but like the movie. Like we pretended we were playing a game in the movie, and that like things were coming to get us, and then we would like attack them. So that was kind of a fun little thing.
This was billed as a children's movie, but it's quite intense and scary. So it's a really good one to like watch, even though like thematically it might be a slightly like children-like, though not really. There's some like heavy themes in here.
I'm sure it was rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
But it's just like really intense scenes with all the jungle animals that come out. That for a little kid, I think you'd be kind of scared.
Yeah? Most little kids. Some little kids. I mean, I was probably very scared, but most kids are like, this is awesome. You know, they like love stuff, shit like that.
Yeah.
Like,
because there's no real blood. Right. Like, no one dies.
No one else has weird fears of like gaping animal mouths in the water. So I'm sure everyone else was perfectly fine.
Is that one of yours?
Well, because it's related to like sharks. Like I had like a little bit of issue with crocodiles, but like not as much as sharks. So it's just that imagery of like a mouth coming out of a water that just will always upset me. But whatever.
Yeah. Well, I will say watching this
story
like,
for a different podcast.
What year is it? 22
17?
Years later.
Oh. Hello.
22 years later. Bad graphics.
Yeah.
Real bad effects.
Just the monkeys, though.
No, I thought all of it was.
Oh,
like,
really? I thought the
plants were
stampede
good.
was okay.
The stampede was okay. The crocodile was not good.
Oh, really?
That looked like a guy in a suit.
That's just because you read that. No, I didn't know. I didn't think it looked like a guy in a suit, and I hadn't read that. So, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I guess maybe the monkeys being the worst, but there's one other one where I was like, but I mean, that's the 90s for you.
Right. We hadn't quite. It can't all be Jurassic Park. Like we don't all have that budget. So
yeah.
It's what it is. What it is. So, anyways,
I would have used like animatronic monkeys or something. I don't know. Especially because they were doing like people
again,
shit.
sweetie, budget. They don't have the budget. Okay. All right. So let's tell them a little bit more about the movie, shall we?
It's time for the sweetie synopsis.
Yeah, sweeties.
Jumanji.
Good one. Alan Parrish is how old was he? 12, 13? We don't know.
Well, it seems like because they're going to eventually send him to private boarding school. So I'm assuming that's like
middle school.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's a youth living in New Hampshire in 1969. In 1969, and he is the son of a wealthy shoemaker in New Hampshire who perished. They make shoes. I think shoes. All shoes in general.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not just like I was like slacks. No, you know how like shoes were like just like shoes for a while, and then sneakers were invented.
Right, I was
and it was
say,
like
I don't think there was
different kind of shoe.
Yeah, I don't think
still
people
a shoe.
were wearing as many.
But then,
sneakers.
what do you call like a regular shoe?
A shoe.
But then a sneaker is a
When
sneaker
were
and a
sneakers
shoe.
invented?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But anyways, so his dad's got the shoe factory. They basically own like everything in the town. It seems that like their ancestors founded the town. Blah blah blah. So Alan's living his life, but he's getting bullied by a couple of little fuckers.
Classic bullying story.
They're just like hate him because he's rich and is a loser or whatever.
Yeah, friends with the guy's quote unquote girlfriend, right,
Please,
buddy?
Please.
That guy totally turned into a douchebag. Why don't they catch up with him later?
Not in real life, but in the
movie.
Okay. It's like what?
No, Billy, whatever his name is.
So he gets bullied. His dad's kind of a dick, kind of a bad dad.
Bad dad.
He's just
Bad
like,
dad.
soup's rich, no time for loving, gotta make the shoes. So whatever. That's just one of those things.
Well, and his like dumb idea about bullies is like,
don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Stand up to them,
to
son.
those bullies.
So,
and meanwhile, there's like 5 kids outside,
Yeah, like, you can't
5
stand
against
up to
1,
them.
ready to like beat the shit out of
Silly.
him. Like, go for it, kid.
LA.
Loser.
So one day, Alan's like leaving the shoe factory all mopey and shit. Just got beat up by some bullies. He hears some drumming. And it's like, and no one else seems to hear it. It's a construction site. None of the construction workers are like, do you hear that drumming, Bob? No, Bill, I don't. Oh, okay. It's none of that. It's just Alan that hears it. So he like goes to check it out, does like a check it out thing. In the wall, finds a trunk. It's in something, right?
Yeah,
it's in like a trunk. Pulls it out, opens it, finds something called Jumanji.
What is it?
What is it? Takes it home. It's a board game.
Cool. I like board games.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But before he can play, he has to like get dinner and shit. So like eats dinner, gets in a fight with his dad because his dad's like, "I'm proud of you for standing up to the bullies, son. I'm sending you to boarding school."
Weirdo.
Which like great reward,
Yeah.
Dad. Sucks.
So he was an only child, and I feel like I'd be like sweet boarding school, then I can like hang out with other kids.
Yeah, it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the boarding school has like a dormitory named Parish Dormitory, and he's like, great, none of the kids there will like me either. So he just feels that like no one will like him. But Alan, I mean, life is what you make it. Like, seize the opportunity, make fun of it before other people make fun of it, and just like as if Joey Gladstone taught me that, like laugh at yourself before other people can laugh at you, but don't take it too far so you get detention. But that's a different story. That was when Stephanie needs glasses. Oh no, that's Steve Urkel tells her that. Never mind, forget it. Different episode. So he gets in a fight and he's like, "I'm never going to speak to you again, Dad." And then, his little friend, quote unquote, Sarah Whittle, comes over and is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I heard about the bullies. Blah, what's wrong? Where are you going?" And I forget what happens. She hears the drumming too.
Or I think
He's just like, look at this game I found.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she comes in, they like play the game. It seems a little advanced technology-wise for the 60s, but they don't seem to make anything of it. They're like, how is this doing
probably
this?
magnets.
But like the words that just appear in the bubble, like that's pretty advanced.
Cool.
So
what about when the guys were playing it before in like the 1930s?
Yeah. Oh, maybe it like adapts to the technology of the age, and that's why the new one is a video game. Just a thought. Anyway, so they start playing, and they roll the dice, and the little thing in the middle says something about bats in like a clever rhyming scheme. And then some crazy fucking bats come out of the chimney, and they're like giant bats, and it's pretty scary. And Sarah freaks out and runs away. And then Alan rolls, and his one is like, "In the jungle, you'll have to stay until someone rolls a 5 or 8.
Yeah.
And then he gets like sucked into the board game, so it's pretty scary. Yeah. So that's the end of that. And then cut to when? How long
Sarah
later?
like runs out of the house, and then like scene close. Right. Fast forward 26 years later. 1995.
Years. Circa now from in
the present day. Woman walks into the old parish house, which is now like still fully furnished, but like covered in all drop cloths, super cobwebby.
Leaves everywhere. It's a big mess.
Yeah. And it's this woman who just bought this house. She's going to turn it into a bed and breakfast. She has 2 kids with her, Peter and Judy, who are her niece and nephew because her brother and sister-in-law died in a car accident a year ago. So she now has these kids.
Tragic.
So you have sweet little Peter, who appears to be a mute. Doesn't talk to anybody. And Judy, who is a big fat liar. She just likes to lie all the time. So obviously they're both kind of like fucked up from what happened to their parents, and have now moved to this new town with their aunt as to kind of start over. So they're exploring and stuff like that, and Peter finds first a bat in the attic.
One of those big fucking bats.
Those bats from the 1969 time. Mm-hmm. Freaks out. They call like a exterminator, and he doesn't find anything. But Judy's like, "Hey, like this is what Peter saw," and shows him an African bat. And the guy's like, "That's an African bat. Like we don't have these here." Though coincidentally, people in the 60s saw a bunch of bats. Like. Okay. Yeah,
it's pretty big coincidence, exterminator man. Maybe that was the bully, and he was like had a grudge,
like dummy.
Funny, wow.
Yeah,
but he's like, okay,
yeah. So that's the first things like something's up with this house. Yeah. First little sign. The aunt goes to work, like I forget what to sign papers or shit like that, and she leaves the kids to like go to school by themselves. But then they hear the same drumming that Alan heard. Boom, 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 boom. And at first they like heard it, but Peter was pretending like he didn't or something.
It's not important.
But you come to find that like only kids can hear the drumming because like the aunt doesn't hear it.
She doesn't hear it.
Yeah. So that's like a kid thing, games tied all together, right? So go up to the attic. They find the game.
Woo-hoo! And they're like, let's play this instead of going to school.
Yeah.
Which, okay. I just want to point out that the game is hidden underneath like several real games, and if I was them, I would have played one of those other games first. Like if I saw a game I was familiar with versus this weird game I didn't know, I don't think I would play it.
I mean,
I can't even
African drums were coming from it.
I can't even watch like movies I haven't seen. I'm like, I'd rather watch The Holiday than this really good movie that I had never seen before.
I mean, it's like having a big stack of games, and it's like, oh, like
if I saw Guess Who, I'd be like,
yes. Guess Who, like Settlers of Catan, and like everyone knows that game, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? I agree.
Someday we'll know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they get down to play it. There's like 2 pieces on the board already, but they're like, whatever. Yeah. So they start playing, and some fucking giant mosquitoes come out, some fucking monkeys, and then Peter rolls, and then a lion, and then Peter rolls a 5.
Well, it was a 5 to get the lion, but then coincidentally also.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, so he rolls a 5. So the lion's about to, like, eat them, and then this jungle man in a cool leaf costume, complete with leaf hat.
I love the leaf hat.
Me too.
Wish he put it on. He doesn't have it on. It's like just on his back. I'm like, can you put the leaf hat on?
He was wearing it on when he first appeared.
He was?
Yeah.
Oh
it was funny because
it's like
it looked like one of those little like tin hats from World War One. That's what it looked like.
I thought it was like those like pith helmets, so like safari.
I mean, he kind of just did it. I mean, it's his own design, so I don't know. But yeah, so he saves them from the lion. And then Judy and Peter are a little scared at first, but then Alan, we find out this is Alan, and he's like running around all the house. He's like, "Mom, Dad, I'm back, Mom, Dad." And Judy's like, who you? And what? Like, wait, you Alan Parrish? You're supposed to be dead. Because the exterminator was like, I heard a rumor that this kid disappeared and everyone thinks the dad killed him and then chopped him up into tiny pieces and buried him in the walls, which, like, terrible thing to tell a child who just moved into this big spooky house. Like,
right. And who was also a big fat liar.
Again, more evidence that has to be the bully. That has to be the bully from the beginning, right? That makes sense.
An old dude. They've only aged 26 years.
Peter's age.
No.
He's just had a hard time. He's probably an alcoholic. Anyways.
Really projecting people in the surface industry, the trade industry.
I like things to be connected. Anyways, so they break the news to Peter, to Alan.
Wait.
Like,
so I just want to say something, and this is what we can't figure out, and maybe you guys have ideas. So it's like unclear whether like Alan aged at all to himself within the game. He pops out and he does look like a 40-year-old man. But he like seems surprised that he is, and is like surprised that his parents aren't still there like waiting around for him. So if you're seeing yourself aging to that like level, wouldn't you be like, wow, it's been a long time?
Well, question. If you don't have any mirrors or anything like that, like, would you notice that you were aging, I guess?
Well, there's reflections in water and stuff. Like, you don't need a mirror.
That's true. I don't know. I think it was like a psych. My theory is that
I agree with this theory.
Like, time didn't really change for him in there. I think time went by, but he just always thought he was young, or maybe he was in the jungle or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he came out, like time caught up, and then he like ages.
Right,
and
because I think he was like stuck in there
Yeah.
and like stuck in that time.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like he...
Oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So like
So
got
he was
put in
a
the
little
game when he was little,
kid.
but then why
Yeah.
wouldn't he have come out when he was little?
Because the game is now in that time.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. It's like kind of makes sense, but kind of not. But we'll let it slide. So they find out it's Alan. He like goes to the shoe factory. It's all decrepit. There's like a really knowledgeable homeless man living in upstairs in the office, which is like very helpful. Gives him some clothes maybe, and then he finds out his parents died, so they're in the graveyard. It's like real sad. And then he's like, "Well, this is terrible, but I'm back, so whatever." And the kids are like, "No, you have to help us play," because Judy is a smart gal. And she
They're both
read
very smart.
all of the instructions, which Alan and Judy did. I mean, Alan and Sarah did not do. And the instructions, sweetie, say
That whoever starts, you got to finish what you start. So all of the stuff that the game brings about, so all of the creatures and the weather and what have you that come out of the game will be erased once someone lands on the last, your piece gets to the middle thing, and you yell out Jumanji.
Jumanji.
So you got to finish the game. So they have 3 players, but let's remember there's one extra piece on that board because Judy and Peter started a game that had already started back in 1969. Who does that missing piece belong to? Or
Sarah
leftover piece?
Whittle, who, by God's good grace, is still living in that decrepit old shitty town.
Yep.
Here's a
alive.
few things about Sarah. She has had some psychological issues since the events that unfolded in 1969, which you would if you saw your friend get sucked into a board game and then chased out by African bats. Right. No one believed her. So she's dealing with that. She's become a psychic, so she's like into that whole scene. And she just believes that Alan died and whatever, and that none of this really happened, and he didn't get sucked in the game, and something else happened. I don't know. So they show up at her doorstep, and they're like, and Alan's like, "Hey, Sarah, like it's me, Alan." And she's like, "Oh no, like I just spent like all the years of my life like figuring out that like that never happened, and that didn't, you don't exist," and like she's very upset. And they're like, "Well, you got to finish the game." She's like, "What? I'm not finishing that game," because that was like the cause of all the bad things that happened. So of course she's not going to play that fucking game. But they convince her to, and then they kind of trick her into rolling the dice, and so the game's back on. So the 4 of them are playing the game. So the movie is them going through their turns, and every time they roll the dice, something bad comes out of the game that they have to kind of best, and then there's all these crazy things that are happening, which we'll talk. I mean, the plot goes meandering, so it's kind of hard to like get into it, but lots of action sequences, lots of like the game board getting stolen by something, and then you have to go get it. Just all these obstacles.
Lots of peril. People like really kind of close to dying or in danger, but not quite. Peter gets turned into a little monkey
boy.
He tries to cheat, so he gets turned into a monkey. That's pretty memorable. And yeah, so then they make it to the end. They bring the game board back to the house, and like all the, Judy gets like stung by like a poisonous plant.
Do you think she died? I bet she did.
Oh,
They don't like talk about it, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then, So yeah, that happens. This hunter had come out earlier that like pursued
Van Pelt.
Peter, who actually is the same actor as his dad, which we'll talk about, and he's kind of like the ultimate nemesis. Like there's all these bad animals, but those are animals, so it's not like it's like one thing.
but he was in the game with
in the jungle with Peter.
With Peter.
Yeah, so he's been hunting him like his whole life.
Wait, I call the little kid Peter. What's the little kid's name?
Oh, you're right. Peter.
Oh, okay. Alan.
Alan. Okay, this is the problem. These names are like so common that it's difficult to like figure it out. And so I'm just going to keep calling everybody Peter, and I hope you guys can keep up. Anyways, so finally it's Alan's roll, and he's about to roll his last roll because he's really close to the end. And the fucking hunter comes and is like, "Any last words?" And he has like this giant gun. And Alan rolls the dice, and it falls, and then his piece goes on the center, and he says, "Jumanji." And he's like, "What? Jumanji." And then everybody gets sucked back in the game. Exciting. And then, bam, Alan and Sarah are back in 1969 as children.
Yep.
So it kind of time like reverses itself, and they still have all their memories from 1995, but they're kids and they can like relive everything again.
Yeah.
So
So
Alan's dad like tromps in and is like, I forgot my speech notes.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad, I'm so glad you're back. And he's like, I was gone for like 2 seconds. It's sweet.
But
and, like,
in Alan's mind, it was 26 years.
Yeah.
So we've come to think that it's like basically like that whole life tangent. So like, let's call it alternate 1995 happened just within that game. So that was part of the whole game, was like this whole alternate timeline of Alan being sucked into the game, like life progressing. But obviously like Alan being sucked into the game and him missing had almost like a butterfly effect on all of these other people. So you had, because the parents were so distraught that he was gone, they let the factory die down. The factory was like the center of that town. Without the factory, the town went to shit. So you know, it was like all connected.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Alan and Sarah do remember. So they are now like, they had like a little like love relationship going on in like the alternate 1995 world. So then they are, I think, are like big, like Sweetie said when I was watching it, because I was like, oh, unnecessary love story, like bleh. And Sweetie was like, no, like they went through a traumatic experience.
Well, I don't think
together.
it's unnecessary, but I feel that like, what if you feel trapped in there and you're like, oh, now it happened. Like, what if you like realize you don't like them?
Maybe he was a bad boyfriend,
Right? Like, it just seems improbable. Like, it just seems scary to me.
But they do become childhood sweethearts because then it goes to now what is now the real 1995, and they have gotten married. Sarah is pregnant. They have taken over the shoe factory, which is now, I guess, really into the sneakers, because they took that guy's invention. And they have the parish house is all theirs, but they remember Judy and Peter. So they've remembered them their whole lives and want to like reconnect with them once they're alive, right? Because they go back to 1969 and like Judy and Peter don't exist.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
what do they
So in the beginning, we learned that their dad was in advertising. So Alan hires him as an advertiser and for the shoe factory. So he invites them to the Christmas party and is like, bring the kids. So that's how they kind of get them together. Or back, Judy and Peter back to the house. So then they meet the kids, and it's like super awkward because they're like, oh, you're just like we remember. And they're like, what? And if I was the dad, I'd be like, I'm working for this crackpot. Like, oh, shit.
Sketchball. He likes my kids a little
so
too much.
it's like sweet moment. And then Alan's like, when can you start? And the dad's like, oh, well, me and the missus, we're going to take like a little ski trip up to the Canada, which is how they died in alternate 1985. So Alan
1995.
and Sarah, 1995. So Alan and Sarah are like, no, don't do that. We need you to start right away. You can't go on any trips. Which again, if I was that dad, I'd be like, dang, this guy sucks. I get out of that relationship fast.
Job.
Business relationship, you know. But yeah, so then they save them from death and everything's all happy, and then blah blah blah. But it's like, it's weird because it's not like they can tell those kids that like they know them.
It's
so
just like
sad.
it's a one-sided relationship.
I'm sad about
I mean,
it.
they can get to know them as being like, oh, it's dad's like cool boss and his wife, I guess. But yeah, but you think maybe like, do you think that in any way there's like Peter and Judy have like deja vu moments when they're like, whoa, like I do feel like I know them.
I'd like to know. I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah.
It's because it's very confusing for me. I mean, I get it when I sit down and really think about it, but then I'm just like, that's not fair. Yeah. Like they get all the memories, and I don't know. Anyways, so that's the movie. La-di-da, la-di-da. Happiness.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired. Let's take a short break, and then we'll reconnect on some important themes after a few words from our sponsor.
Wine break.
Sweetie, guess how many headphones I have right now?
5.
Okay. Yeah, about that. I have probably like 5 pairs of headphones hanging around the house. Some have like one headphone working. Some have both not working. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
hanging on to them, but this is what happens, right? Headphones. You use them, you throw them in your purse.
You'll lose them.
They stop working. They're cheap. It's our fault because we're buying cheap headphones, whatever.
Yeah.
But I got a
$5
solution.
headphones.
Here's a good solution for you. Studio headphones. Do you know them? Do you know them? Did they call you at home?
I do know that I have a pair.
Okay, cool. Me too. So they're pretty great, right?
Yeah.
They're very durable and they have great sound. So Studio wants to revolutionize the way that people see headphones. They want people to see them not just as a tech device, but also an accessory, which is true because ours are pretty fab looking. They're rose gold. They're pretty
beautiful.
awesome. So they're fashionable, but they're also have great sound quality and they're not bulky. And they look good. They work. And they're going to hold up. I think I'll have these for a long time, and it's an investment worth making.
Yeah, you gotta invest in good headphones because while it's really tempting to do those impulse purchase $5 ones, you know, and when you're in line at finally
Cheapies.
or Marshalls or TJ Maxx, you know, those only last a couple weeks.
true.
Like invest in the Studios and get your money's worth.
Yeah.
and you won't be sad.
Totes. So
I'm not
head
sad.
on over to studiosweden.com and use the discount code LARGEMARGE. That's going to give you 15% off any purchase. Get yourself some good headphones so you can listen to our podcast in great sound.
Oh, yeah.
They also provide free worldwide shipping, so all of our pals over New Zealand can get them too. So yeah, go there and get some headphones, guys. Studio. Whoa. And we're back. So, what would you like to talk about first?
Okay. Well, I guess let's just start with Robin Williams.
Oh my God.
As always.
Treasure. I would like to say,
Perfect vehicle for Robin Williams, right?
yes. I wrote down Robin Williams, pitch perfect for this role because he needs to embody somebody who is still intellectually a child but has aged into a man. So it's the perfect role for him because most of Robin Williams' roles are this adult that still has child sensibilities about him. So this was just perfect because he has such a sweet little innocence when he comes out as the Jungle Man at first. It's just so sweet when he's running around the house
I
Mom,
know.
Dad.
He really does. But let's remember he also had success with that same type of role in the movie Jack. Do you remember that movie? Where he's
He was supposed to be a little kid in that?
so he's 5 years old, but he has this condition where he ages rapidly. So he's he looks 40, but he's actually 5.
I thought it was Billy Madison.
No,
Oh.
Billy Madison he has to go back to school to take over his dad's fortune, and he missed all these grades, so he has to
He
go.
missed kindergarten? Okay. This is stupid. It was dumb. Okay. It's confusing. I thought the plot of Jack was Billy Madison this whole time.
Wow.
I am confused. All right. So, okay. You're right. When was Jack?
Good call. Look that up. But I mean, and
But that's probably why they hired him.
Peter Pan,
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
Well, Hook.
So this is really in his wheelhouse, obviously. But I really like this Robin Williams because there is really good moments, and he's kind of stern and gets really pissy at some points. And I think he does that really well. He it has a nice balance in this. It's not just I'm Zachy and wait crazy and whatever. And he has some good stunt kind of moments.
He has some he tones it down for the most part.
Yeah.
There's only a few times when you're oh, that's classic Robin Williams.
Exactly.
Just helpful tip when you're looking for the movie Jack on IMDb, don't. Because if you type in Jack, it's just Jack, people named Jack. It's just actors named Jack. Never name your movie somebody's normal name. It's really unfortunate. Okay. Jack was in... Oh, there's toys, too. What's that about?
too. Remember they're in the toy factory, they own the toy factory. It's
Jack was after Jumanji.
Wow.
So 96.
1 year.
But he was probably filming them around the same time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he probably pulled from that. But yeah, he's great. He's great. He's great.
He's so good.
We didn't even talk about who else is in this.
Yeah. So Robin Williams, like we said, Bonnie Hunt, love her. Oh my God.
Bee
Her
Hunt?
comedic timing is so great. My favorite role of hers was in Jerry Maguire's sister,
too.
Laurel. Oh
So
my
good.
God. She's the best part of that
Amazing.
movie. But she, again, is that same sort of dry Bonnie Hunt, awkward humor, which I just love. So she's the older Sarah. And then you have sweet tiny baby Kirsten Dunst, who I love. Tiny baby Kirsten Dunst. She's like, I really like.
love old Kirsten
I love
Dunst,
Breaking
too.
Bad, but I hate her in that movie. I love
Breaking
the movie
Bad?
Oh my God.
I was like, she in that?
That's the worst slip up I've like ever had. Bring It On. I love the movie Bring It On. I hate her character Torrance in that.
Breaking Bad when the cheerleaders are making the crystal
Breaking
meth.
Bad the movie. Yeah. So that's like a weird moment for me.
No,
I
think
just
she's
find her
great.
gross in that.
I love her. I love Torrance Shipman. Come on.
No, I don't like
She's done some really great stuff as she's gotten older,
Yeah.
and she's blossomed into a really great actress. So
Right.
just like
But let's
I
talk
support her
about
100%.
the other like awesome baby Kirsten.
Interview with a Vampire.
Yes, love her in that. She's a little bitch. I love her, and she's also such a bitch in Little Women. Oh, I love her in that.
So good. But yeah, she's
a little
sweet.
bitch in this for a little bit.
For a little bit, because she does that thing where like and I think it's a defense mechanism because like her parents are dead, so she's like trying to like dramatize it and like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's like some child psychology behind this, but she just tells lies. But she's really good at it. So I think she has a great career ahead of her as an actress, probably. Judy, the actress. Good for her. Little kid Peter's no name. And then the cop is played by
David Allen Greer,
who I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, he's awesome. He was so funny. So he was in like in Living Color, like that whole the time Damon Wayans was in it, and Jim Carrey and like that whole gang. He's hilarious in this. Oh my God. So he's originally like, well, in sort of a horrible 90s like cliche. So he's the guy who works at the one black guy who works at the shoe factory, and he makes like basically what is like an Air Jordan.
You know what he was in recently? He was like the stage manager in The Big
Oh
Sick.
yeah. Okay.
If anybody's seen that movie with Kumail Nanjiani, it was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in that. So
Yeah.
good for him. He's still doing stuff. But
yeah, so he's at the sneaker factory, and he's, like I said, the one black guy in town. But of course, he's the one who comes up with the concept for what is basically an Air Jordan sneaker. And then he gets fired. But then in the alternate 1995 world, he decides to become a cop, ? Weird.
I'm just confused why all these people stuck around this shithole town. Like, get out, guys. It sucks.
Who knows?
Weird. I mean, thank God they did, because if Sarah had moved away, it would have been, or died, it would have been really unfortunate.
They wouldn't have been able to communicate.
But yeah, he's hilarious, and we laughed aloud a lot.
Yeah.
During his parts. And he just has like
he screams. His scream is like hilarious.
He just has like a really bad day and as a cop, and it's just this like running joke of his car getting more and more destroyed as the movie goes on by these obstacles and things that are coming out of the board game, finally ending in like the giant vine taking his car and like sucking it into the woods, and he's like, fine, take it. It's great. Which I'm like, why is he so why is he so attached to that cop car? It's not like cops own the car that they use.
It's like it's the only way to
as
get
a
around.
cop.
I don't
It's
know.
not like bus
Small town.
drivers. You know, like some bus drivers when we were little, like kept the bus in their yard. We're like, did they own that bus?
Yeah, what's up with
What's
that?
up with that? I don't know.
Drop off the bus at the bus depository.
Maybe they bought it and they own it. I don't know.
no,
Freelance
that's
bus.
like cabs. That's like cabs or something.
No, some like there's this guy in Wellfleet who like kept his bus in his yard. I remember.
Who has room for a bus in their driveway?
It's just like old. It's just like woodsy.
short bus?
No, a long bus. I swear, I'm not making it
I'm making this up.
There's a cab that lives here. He parked his cab out here.
Yeah,
so.
cab because you like rent the cab, so that is like basically your car.
I guess.
I mean, I don't think you can like drive it to like cross country. It's like joyride, but
Let's find out. But yeah, those are the peeps.
well, there's
Oh,
that one
and-
guy. Well, that one guy who's the dad, and then the Van Pelt, the hunter guy, who's like you see him and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's in like a bunch of stuff, but he's always like a weird British like character. He's like a British character,
snooty British person.
yeah, character actor. Yeah, basically, like you see him, you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. And then, random fun fact. A local actor from Cape Cod was in this movie. So his name is Gary Thorup, and he was an older brother of a kid in my grade, and then actually danced with his little sister. So he was like a local celebrity. And I remember this came out, and people were like, oh my God, Gary Thorup is in this. Whoa!
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a huge, huge deal. So, but Gary didn't last long in Hollywood because this was his last role.
They said he was in Law and Order.
That was before this.
Oh, when he was a kid. Wow, must have turned him off from the acting.
Yeah.
Too bad we couldn't get him
But
on
he
the
did
show.
good.
Yeah, he's the bully, so he's the mean bully that sucks in the beginning. Great role for him. Good job, Gary. Good for you. And then
go,
BB
Gary. Oh, yeah,
Newirth is the aunt.
Yeah,
So-
she's great. Kind of freaks out a lot. Her like freak out scene in the house is like a little over the top. A little too much for me.
Sure.
She's like,
What would you do if your nephew was a monkey boy all of a sudden? Just be like, be weird. Okay, so let's talk about the decision to make the Van Pelt hunter the same actor as Alan's father. Now,
I think it was symbolism.
Yes, but I just think it's I think that they wanted to use that actor like more because obviously the role of his father, which is not a very big role, like he's got like a little bit, but I think they wanted to utilize him like further, maybe. But then there's that whole the riddle or like the rhyme that comes out when he rolls the dice is like blah 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 will make you feel like a child all over again, and he's been like hunting him this whole time, and like it's important for Alan to realize that he's not afraid. He was afraid of his dad? ? No, like what? See, now it's confusing.
No, but like he obviously like the relationship with the dad is strange because like he could never do anything that would like impress his dad enough. His dad just thought he was like a weakling kind of loser, which is like you don't think that about your kids no matter what they are, right? Like you love your kids and you support them, and like he just always felt like he was such a disappointment.
He wasn't like hunting his child.
No,
with a
but I
rifle.
think like if anyone else was in the game, kind of like your nemesis is like mirrored to your nemesis in real life, kind of a thing. So it's not like his dad was like a nemesis, but like was a real pain
bully
point for
was
him.
the nemesis.
Well, then why wasn't
I just think that,
Van Pelt little Gary Thorpe?
exactly. I just think that they could have used like somebody else and it would have been fine. Like I just don't understand like I don't believe that was necessary to cast the same actor in that role.
Well,
I think
they
it's
said
confusing.
That is like a kind of a thing that a lot of movies do, and they gave an example of not Hook, but when they do Peter Pan adaptations, oftentimes like Peter's dad is also Captain Hook or something. So it's like
stupid.
something dumb.
It's just like confusing for the audience. It's like in Matilda when Danny DeVito is like this horrible father in that, but he's also the like nice narrator of the movie, and you're like, and why did they choose to do
Cast
that?
somebody else.
It's so
As you
weird.
said, budget. I
I don't know. That guy's probably expensive. You probably had to pay him more to play two roles. Anyways, yes, that's that. So, okay, so let's go over the things that come out of the game.
Okay.
In
Let's see
the-
if I can guess.
Okay.
Ready?
First
All
thing
right.
that comes out.
Okay. First thing was the mosquitoes.
Nope.
First thing was
Very beginning.
the very beginning. Bats.
Bats. Correct. Ding, ding, ding. Next thing.
Mosquitoes.
No.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Alan getting sucked in.
Well, that's one of the.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about all the.
Okay, so bats getting sucked in, mosquitoes,
Mosquitoes. Ding, ding.
monkeys,
Ding, ding.
lion,
Ding, ding.
Alan coming out of the game, vines,
Ding, ding.
Okay, and then she's like, stampede,
Hunter.
hunter. Okay, hunter, Van Pelt, stampede.
Ding, ding. Peter tries to cheat.
Peter becomes a monkey.
Ding, ding.
More monkeys. Monsoon.
Ding, ding.
Spiders.
Nope.
Oh, quicksand.
Quicksand.
Spiders.
Nope.
Quicksand.
Lose turn.
Lose a turn.
Judy loses a turn,
Yeah.
which nothing happens at. And you're
Yeah,
like, what?
that's
Dumb. And then
Spiders.
spiders. And then lastly,
That's. Oh no, that's it.
earthquake.
Oh, earthquake! Then the spiders go away, and then he wins. Okay. Ooh, that wasn't too good.
Whew. So yeah, so all
That was
those
a lot.
things. So out of those things, what were maybe your favorite parts or the most memorable ones for you that you remember? Or even just watching tonight?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do like the lion one because I feel like that's like the most scary to me as a person. And they do a good job of like just like putting it in a room and like that's it. But like lions are scary.
Yeah, lions are big. Wow.
Yeah.
Those teeth.
And there's this part where like at first Alan comes out of the jungle like very traumatized, and he's like, well, he's basically like, well, like your life is hunky dory. At least you didn't have to like live in a jungle by yourself for 26 years. I mean, that is like a long time. Mm-hmm. And he says like he does this like speech to Peter because Peter's like, you're just scared. And he's like, you want to know what scared is? And he's like, you're in the jungle and you sleep and you don't know what's out there and you just hear something scream and then you hear it getting eaten. But
that's not for the lion. He said, you think lions are bad. And then he like goes to this like other tangent of something
else. But I think
else
like lions are the worst. And I love lions.
I mean,
but I'm conflicted because
they're
they're
the
scary
king of the jungle.
I know.
Okay, so the part of that I like, and I do feel that like, yes, the CGI is bad, but there's the way that the lion moves, I think, is pretty good because so it's in the attic with them, and it like the first thing that happens is like its tail drags on the piano, and you hear like a couple like spooky notes, and then you see its shadow, and you're like, ooh, spooky lion, and then they see the lion and they run, and then they're running down the staircase, and the lion takes like a big leap and like gets and like jumps from the top to like the center, and it was just a very like cat like movement that a lion would probably do.
Yeah.
And it just scared me because I was like, dang, like lions are just like giant cats. And like, I'm scared of my cat. And he's like 10 pounds.
I'm so fascinating. Like literally every day I look at my little cat. I'm like, you're like a cat, but you're basically like a baby tiger. And like, what if you were bigger? I mean, because they're really like so beautiful and interesting looking.
They're scary.
Animals.
Desmond could kill me, probably.
And if you ever see like actual big cats like close up, like they're. I remember when we used to go to this like animal park, let's say.
Jungle areas.
Yeah, it wasn't really a zoo because they like weren't in cages.
It
really.
was a zoo. There were cages.
No, not all of them were in cages. They roamed a little bit more. Anyway, so they had this whole like cat show, but was it mostly tigers though?
No, there were other things. Remember, there was like a white tiger, which we liked.
Yeah. So basically, it was like
I don't think there was a lion
tamer.
Actually.
Yeah,
it was
just
tiger.
tigers. There was tigers.
There may have been like a jaguar.
So it was a whole
there was a jaguar
tiger. Yeah,
not
it
in
was
the
a big
show.
cat show or something. But I don't think they had a lion. But it was like all these tigers and jaguars and stuff like that. And they basically it was like a like Siegfried and Roy, but not like
not
gay
like tricks.
Vegas.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I had something to say. Yeah. Remember?
Dad want a whisker?
Yes. So they're like,
do you remember the question? I do.
Yeah. So you're watching this kind of show. They're really just bringing the cats out and like showing you, telling you about them, like teaching you about the cats and stuff like that. And then so the guy is like, okay, like question for everybody, like what is the fastest bird in the world, right? And it was a peregrine falcon. And our dad like knew that for some reason. He knew. He's
read
like
National
he just knows like
in the
random
bathroom,
shit.
remember?
So he like raises a hand, and we're like, "Oh my god, Dad's raising his hand!" And then he got it right, and he won a fucking a tiger whisker. Or was it a lion whisker? No, it was tiger whisker. It was so cool. It was giant. Like your cat's whiskers fall out from time to time, and they're pretty big, but they're like little cat whiskers. This was like, you knew it came from it was so cool. We had it for the longest time in like a little bag.
I mean, cats are just really cool looking. I mean, I love dogs, but I just feel like they're not as cool as cats. Cats are really interesting looking.
They're sophisticated creatures.
Really beautiful.
There's I haven't seen it, but my friend told me to watch this documentary on Netflix called The Lion in Your Living Room.
What?
Which like is about how cats and like cats and lions are like, yeah. So we should watch that and report back. But I hear it's really good. But yeah, that scene impressive. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
and we don't get to see him too much after that.
No,
he's gone.
Bummer.
In the room. So that stinks. Probably expensive though. So makes sense. For me, the part that I remember, I think I really enjoyed the stampede. I thought that was really cool, just because you could see all the different animals, like just like the giant elephants are really cool, zebras. I don't know. I just enjoyed that.
Pokey rhino.
There's this one sad little like lame, or just maybe he's just slow rhino that's always at the tail end of the stampede, like like trying to keep up. It's so sad. It's cute. But yeah, I always remember that part. And then so
and the power of a stampede, like that's like no joke when you have those like ton like size animals like running through things.
Hello,
I mean,
the Lion King. Please, please.
Mufasa, R.I.P. That part where like Peter gets stuck in the car and like he's like wedged way underneath the driver's seat thing, the steering wheel.
It's so scary.
And the elephant like steps on it and oh my God, crushing that car. So yeah, it's pretty freaky. So that's really cool. I mean, it's just a lot of fun like little creatures in this that pop up. Again, like the monkeys. Well, they try to make the monkeys this like amazing bit of comic relief. It's like not there because like we said, the monkeys look horrible. They're like effed up looking monkeys.
I thought it was funny. You just look past that. We laughed at those parts. We did because we're like, it's funny to see a monkey like driving a car and being like,
it was not funny.
A nuisance. You laughed.
I thought it was dumb. I'm sorry.
Well, you kept laughing, so I thought you liked it. God, fake laughter. Thanks a lot. But yes, they are up to all kinds of shenanigans, stealing cars, motorcycles. So that's like a reoccurring joke. Some things didn't quite land for me. The quicksand's questionable. It just looked like they didn't really. It was more just like the floor was like spinning, like it didn't turn into sand.
Interesting.
So you're like, what is this?
What is this?
And he just like falls through the like if they had let him continue to get sucked through the floor, he would have just fallen out the other side.
Yeah.
So I mean, not a huge threat there.
Okay.
And then so what else? The mosquitoes, kind of scary. They're like these giant mosquitoes with a really big what's that called? The pointy end stinger. Blood sucky thing. Those are pretty scary. The vines, I'm like, they're cool because they turn the whole house into the jungle scene. So that's neat.
Yeah. I like the big one that looked like Seymour from
that was scary.
Little Shop of Horrors. That because he's like, watch out. You just got to really watch out for the ones with the yellow pods. It's like, yellow pods.
I think it does a really good job of like creating this kind of mystical, like bringing the jungle to our eyes without being there in the game, like without being Alan and being like sucked into the game. It brings the jungle to you as the viewer, which I think is kind of magical. When they come back to the house after they've been gone for a while, the vines have completely taken over the house and turned it into the jungle, and there's like that, whatever that's called, that like slight low fog that just like is like in the bottom, and there's all these trees and vines, and then the next scene that happens is the big monsoon, which I think actually is another good scene because like the rain just starts pouring down, just like floods down the stairs, and then two giant crocodiles like swim into the house. It was just so, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just when you're little.
Want to go to the jungle?
No. Well, I don't want to be in any precarious situation where like I could die.
In danger. You just like
no,
see
because
it and
I
be
know
fine.
there's probably a big spider somewhere, and I don't want to be near that thing. So the spider scene. So obviously, when I had
those look pretty fun.
I had a problem with spiders when I was little, and this scene made me like a little uneasy when I was little, but not that much because they do look pretty. They're like the
legs are like pipe cleaners.
I'm not terribly afraid of the kind of spiders that resemble like Black Widow bodies, like the big bulbous
fat body,
skinny leg thing. I'm not super scared of
the
them.
tarantula one.
Don't say the word. It just makes me upset.
Weird.
But yes, you're right. The T word. So not so scary
big
now.
T.
A little scary back then. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. So that's the elements. The elements. Okay. What do you got next?
Boop,
Boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop. It's really exciting.
That's our theme song.
I know, but now we're just.
Let's talk about Sarah's ugly nose.
Okay, so the actress that plays Sarah when she's little has a defining characteristic of a giant schnoz.
Like a bulbous nose.
Like the biggest nose.
It's like a nose old drunk dudes have.
It's a terrible nose.
Yeah.
It's like the worst nose I've ever seen in my life. And it just really distracts you because when we were watching it tonight, I went to Sweetie. I was like, did they give her a fake nose? Like fucking Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And remember in that Looper movie, they like gave him a Bruce Willis nose because it's supposed to be Bruce Willis.
Yep.
I was like, did they do a fake nose to look kind of more like Bonnie Hunt? And I was like, maybe, I don't know. But then we pulled up her picture of what she looks like now, and she totally got a nose job.
Yeah, she has a weird Even a strange nose.
Thank
now.
God. No, but it's much better. But like I think that like it was just very distracting, and I feel very bad for her. It's a thing that I always remembered from this movie. It was like, oh, the girl with the big nose. Unfortunate nose.
Well, it almost looks like, you know, when like sometimes you have to grow into your nose. Like sometimes your nose grows first, and then like I remember our older sister had like kind of a big nose for like a while. Remember that? And it just like she just had to grow into her face.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that? It's just like her face didn't like fit it yet. And I feel like I had like a weird
Could
looking
be.
nose in middle
There's
school.
a lot of celebrities that are always like, dude, she totally got a nose job. And you're like, no, she just grew in. Like, I forget who I'm thinking of.
I
People are
pointed
always
one out the other
accusing
day,
her.
and I was like sad that she had gotten one. And you were like, no, I think she just whatever.
I have no recollection of this. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was it?
But yeah, so that's that. And I Googled this.
Oh, Allison Williams.
That was a long time ago. That wasn't the other day. That was like months and months and months ago. That was like when Girls was still on.
Yeah, but remember she also had like semi-normal body type, and now she's like a skeleton. So we're like, maybe that's why your nose.
Yeah, I mean,
can your nose change if you lose a ton of weight?
I think so. I mean, like
your
anything
face
can.
might, but
My feet got fat, so it's like I think nothing is safe. Yeah.
so if you lose weight, will you suddenly be like a size 6 in your feet?
No, I probably maybe like no. I don't. I feel like feet aren't things that like get smaller. They can only get bigger. It's like only one way.
Yeah, but why? It's not like your bones are growing.
I think like the width, maybe the width, like something to do with
I
that.
don't know. I remember Mom said she like gained a shoe size every baby she had.
Not every baby. She'd be like a 12 now. Stop, Carol. Call Carol.
Half a size.
Mom, is this true?
I think
True
it
or
was
false?
a half a size because she's in 9 now, and she said she used to be like a 7.5.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's that. That's that segment.
Good connection to Jumanji.
There's
guys.
there's this funny part. So I've talked about this before in that like these action sequences are supposed to be very exciting where like something steals the game. So in this part, the hunter steals the Jumanji game board and then like traps off to like the department store and like goes in there. And then the kids and Sarah have to go after him. And there's all this like ruckus that ensues, and it's very, all these things are happening. So that's like an action sequence because it's just like, you know, yeah, action, cool. I hate that shit. Like that just annoys. Like those scenes, I can't handle. I'm like, can somebody just grab the fucking board and get out of here? Like I hate sitting through all that shit. Like I
like the department store scene.
I don't like
Why?
it.
It
It's
was
just
clever the way they were like trying to hide from him.
I think it's something to
and
do with
Peter like getting all the stuff together.
I think it's something to do with like my anxiety and like how it works, and that like I just don't like those situations, and I like things to just be like neat and be like, okay, we have to do this, then we have to do this. Like I don't like these tangents. It's just stressful for me.
So why did that guy keep stealing the board game again? Because like it would lure Alan to him,
So
and he
he's
just
not-
had to kill Alan.
Yeah, so I thought about that, and he's not the only one that has done this. So in the Stampede, for some reason, there's these like giant pelicans that are in there, and the pelican steals the board and flies off with it. So I think part of the creatures like being when they come out of the game is to make it so that harder for you to finish the game.
Got it.
So I think that's why they have like a desire to like prevent you in any way they can from like finishing the game, which doesn't make a ton of sense because all the other animals just like leave the house and they're like, see ya, and like they don't come back. But so there was the pelican, so the hunter keeps taking the game. There's something else that like kept causing difficulties. I don't know. But I think that's, I think that that's why that is. But yeah, so he takes the game board and he goes to the department store. For some reason, Sweetie thought it was maybe to get more bullets, but I don't think they sold bullets in New Hampshire, but I could be wrong. But
Live free or die.
I know it's a little bit of a weird state, but I still don't think that that's allowed. So he goes there, and I realize he makes the call to the police that he's holding a woman and 2 kids hostage, so that Alan
How
will
would he
hear
know to
that.
call the police? He's from like 1900.
I know. I mean, all of that stuff is very questionable. Like, why is he not freaked out when he comes into this town and is like, why are there these crazy cars?
He pays with gold doubloons.
Sweetie, what did we learn from the Goonies? Doubloons. N.
Doubloons. I like to say it like the Fratellis do.
Yeah,
look, Mom, it's a gold doubloon.
Yeah, it's a bit of a plot hole. He's just like totally unfazed by everything. And again, he's like a game board character, so you're kind of like unclear on their rules of life.
Right. They don't have any, they're not like real people.
Yeah, they don't seem to like die. I don't know. But I think that because like, what was he doing if he not to like cause a diversion? He was trying to get Alan to come back because he remember he was like, I could have killed you, you silly girl, like when I wanted to. And she's like, why didn't you? And he's like, because you didn't roll the dice. Because Alan rolled the dice that got him to come out of the game.
But he's forever connected to him because he rolled the dice. So like the game says like that's the guy you have to go after because he rolled the dice, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then why do none of the other animals like pinpoint a specific person that rolled the dice? You know, it's like
because it's animals and not a person. Like they don't have that sort of revenge, vindictiveness.
Yeah, I guess
they put it into that.
It's a little murky for me.
There's this like weird scene where the guy like he has this giant like elephant gun, essentially like rifle. It uses that to shoot, but then he runs out of bullets, and he like has to go to the gun store. So he's able to find the gun store. So this dilapidated town does have a gun store, so good for them. And he's like, I need more of these. And he like pops this bullet
gun
down.
Stores?
Yes,
is that the proper name?
Stores. Okay. And he puts down a bullet, and they're like, oh yeah, so they stopped making these in 1903.
Yeah, that part's funny.
And the guy's like, oh, like I guess I'm gonna need another gun then. So he like slaps his big rifle gun, and he's like, well, the guy's like, okay, well, there's a 2-day waiting period, and you're gonna have to fill out all these forms, which is like typical, hopefully, for like when you want to buy a gun in a store. And the guy's like puts all these gold coins on the table, and he's like, or I could fill out the paperwork for you. So then they put the open sign to close, and then they're like, if anybody asks you, like, you didn't buy this gun here.
So they have this like
Super
crazy
shady.
giant like assault rifle.
Yes.
Scary.
Wicked scary. So then he's like unstoppable.
Yeah.
Now he's like has an automatic.
And it's spooky. But yeah, so that department store scene so Peter is like amazing. First of all, he's MVP of this movie.
Yes.
First point. He does this crazy thing where he like needs to catch the game board going down like the river, and like does this crazy like acrobatic thing off a log and saves it. I don't think he was a monkey at that point.
Was it a monkey then?
I forget. Yeah. No, because Alan saw it. Yeah, okay. So, and then in the department store, he totally pulls a Kevin McAllister and like does all this crazy like booby trap shit, like pours laundry detergent on the floor so that the hunter slips, rigs up this like crazy ass thing with scuba tanks. And second point, this department store has everything you could ever want, right?
I mean, it's basically like a Walmart.
Which they don't have again in New Hampshire, and they would not have in this like Hobunk town.
It's a Sir Saves a Lot. They might. You know, how many times have you been in New Hampshire?
You said yourself like they have welder's masks. Like
that just seemed a little far fetched for a store like that.
Scuba tanks? I've never seen scuba tanks in any department store.
Sporting goods department. I mean, what are you gonna say? They had a canoe. They had scuba tanks. They had a welder's mask. I mean, that just seemed a little far-fetched. I don't know why he needed a welder's mask, but good for him. Like he didn't really need that, but
no. But so there's this
comic
part.
relief.
There's this funny part where Judy like takes the scanner gun where you like are scanning items out. She like points it at the hunter's face, and she says, "What did you say?
Price check,
price check." And she just flashes it in his face, and he's blinded. And then the camera goes to the cash register. And it flashes no sale, which is such like a 90s thing. I just remember like every toy I had when I was little, like Little's Pet Shops, right? There'd be like a no sale button, or like a fake toy cash register. There'd be like a no sale button. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, on most cash registers, it'll just like open the drawer.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, but I think they changed it to like NS. It's like N/S.
Yeah.
They don't have it anymore. But I just think it's so funny to like, when I was little, I was like, what does this mean? No sale?
Right.
Like, I'm kicking you out?
Usually to open the drawer, you have to like, hit like amount 10 in it.
Yeah.
But if you don't
enter,
yeah.
Back in our days, of
back
using
in
a
all
cash
those
register.
retail jobs that I've had.
Remember that time the cash register stopped working at the ice cream cafe? Whew, what a calamity. That's bad.
Oh my God, people had to make change for real.
I couldn't, and the guy yelled at me, and I cried.
The cream rose to the top that day. Let me tell you,
It's a really bad day.
oh my God, you're like, I'm just gonna leave.
Really, like, I can't make change.
Threw
So.
down your scoop. I'm like, I'm out.
I just got so frustrated. I was like, I can't do it. And this old man's
count
yelling at
up.
me. I know. I understand fundamentally how it works. I just can't do it like on the spot.
I think I had a dream about making change.
Terrible dream.
Or was I somewhere and someone was like, needed help? Interesting. I'm pretty good at it. I'm gonna lie.
Good.
Dad taught me. Dad taught me.
Good for you and your father.
Yeah.
Dad. Anything else you got on your notepad?
So we mentioned in the beginning that there's a sequel coming out in December. We watched the trailer before this, and it looks pretty funny, only because Kevin Hart is in it, who is hilarious no matter what he does, and Jack Black. So the premise is it's supposed to be a sequel, and it's supposed to be like very respectful to like the Robin Williams legacy. But like again, kids find the game. And when they bring it home, it looks exactly like this board game. But like Sweetie said, it eventually turns into like a game console that the kids like put in and like hook up to a TV, and then it becomes a video game. So then they pick avatars. So they're like normal kind of looking kids in high school. But then they pick these avatars that then turn into The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and like some supposedly hot girl or something like that. So then it's them in the jungle, and they have like, because it's a video game, they have like this 3-bar tattoo that are supposed to be like their lives. They have like weaknesses and weapons, and like
It's an interesting
video
concept,
gamey.
and the preview actually didn't look as terrible
Yeah.
as I thought it would be.
Yeah,
but I
it
think
looks
they're just sucking all the Kevin Hart lines out of it and like using that to like win people over. So I don't know what the ultimate outcome will be, but again, I ask, like, is it necessary to make this a Jumanji, like tie this to the Jumanji universe?
Exactly.
I don't think so. It's not like the concept of teenagers getting pulled into a video game is like that niche a concept where you would be like, this is a ripoff of Jumanji, because it's not. That's not what I consider Jumanji to be. No. I consider like the game coming to you and like, yeah you're a part
I think
of
they
it.
just
but
wanted
not,
the recognition of that quote unquote franchise. It's not a franchise. There's only been one movie.
But are they trying to get like our generation to see it, or are they appealing to the kids? Well, not really, because the kids probably don't know about Jumanji. Like, do they? I don't know.
I would have just made it like, that's the thing with a lot of these, like, I mean, I read the thing in like The Rock. Wait, it's The Rock? Yeah. The Rock really wanted it
He
to
goes
be,
by Dwayne Johnson now.
Yeah, Dwayne
so
Johnson.
sorry.
Not a reboot or a remake, but a sequel. Like, he was very into me. It's a sequel. It's not those. But yeah, why don't you just like rewrite? Okay, kids find a video game and get sucked into it. I don't know why you would have to tie it into it exactly.
Unless
like,
there's these other things that they're not showing in the preview.
well,
that
they
like
did say that there's like legacy archive footage of Robin Williams
in the jungle
or in the game when they boot up the
As a
game. I don't know,
child?
when they boot up the
Oh,
game or
okay.
something.
All right. Well,
But it's not like he's like a symbol of the game. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
maybe we'll see it.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
I'll let someone else
Comes out
see
on
it.
Christmas Day.
Okay,
We'll be in Ireland.
interesting.
But yeah, it's just that thing again where it's like stop taking our awesome childhood movies and making these trash movies out of them.
They're just out of ideas.
Yeah.
but they're not.
But
because
they're
this is
not.
like a separate idea. I don't feel like it's taking too much from Jumanji. So I'm
and
just
again,
confused.
like, not that this is like a masterpiece, but I really do not want like, you know, two Jumanjis to be out there, and like, what is the one that like the current kids are going to be like, oh yeah, I've seen Jumanji, that one with like Dwayne Johnson, and you're going to be like, no. You know what I mean?
That's Jumanji : Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
Our Jumanji is just Jumanji.
Right.
So maybe it'll be different.
But like, also interesting take in the sense, like, the cool thing about the Jumanji in this one was that like the animals were coming into the real world. So in this one it's reversed, where it's like the people are actually in the jungle, within the jungle scene. Mm-hmm. You know, and like, I don't know, that's not as interesting to me as a movie concept. Like, the whole thing was like fish out of water, these jungle animals, like, what are they going to do
like
and
affecting
interact?
the town, and
Yeah.
they're causing all this shenanigans, and people are looting because there's a stampede. It's just
Like, with humans in the jungle, like, you kind of like know the shit that's going to go down.
Yeah.
Right? So
I guess, yeah, sure.
know.
Be interesting. I'd be
I
interesting
don't have
just
high
to
hopes.
see what the
Not
take
gonna
is on
lie.
it.
But again, it's like, come on, people. Like, make it like an original something. Anything. Please. God. Like, look at, like, Stranger Things came along, took, like, lovely, bits of stuff that they love, but generated their own story, pulling from a lot of inspiration and stuff like that, and made an amazing piece of work. So you can still do that without like completely ripping it off.
Yeah, totes, totally. Okay, anything else?
No, this is a shorty.
Yeah,
Shorty.
cool.
Shorty.
Cool,
It's
cool,
your
cool, cool.
birthday.
I'd also like to see an interesting version of this movie would be if Sarah did die and they were like, okay, we need her to finish her turn. So then the movie was like resurrecting Sarah somehow. Maybe the game could do it. I don't know. Seance? I'm not sure. I think that'd be cool. Maybe that could be a sequel.
I mean, I would still like. Someone said, "Oh, there's like maybe in this movie, like one of the kids is actually like the Kirsten Dunst character's like daughter or something like that." So like that's how the story continues. But I think that they could like. I almost wouldn't mind like a remake of this with like nowadays animals like running amok, and it having be one of those kids. Because that would be interesting because the kids don't remember.
Right.
Like, right?
Yes.
And then, like, somehow, here's the story. So, like, the game washes up and their kids find it. But then, like, they're roped into the game, too. So it's like Uncle Peter, if it's like
why
Kirsten's
are they
kids.
roped into the kids?
Because,
to the
like,
game?
they decide to play the game, too. And then it all, like, snaps together.
I
and
see.
they're like, oh, my God, I've played this before. I remember. So there's, like, this deep-seated, like, deja vu.
Deja vu.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Okay, call them up.
That'd
Call
be
the execs.
way better.
The Rock, yo.
It's too late. It's
Got
too
a better
late.
idea for you.
It's too late.
Damn it. Oh, well. Okay, we tried. Anyways, yeah, I mean, good little flick. Catch it if you can.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Was that a freebie?
It is if you have Stars
Nice.
with Z. Stars does a lot of good movies, actually, so I recommend you get the $8 a month or whatever app and check it out. Do check it out thing. But yeah, cool. So thanks for listening, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to talk more about Jumanji or come hang out with us, you can find us on Twitter at The Sweeney Club. We're also on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Love you. Love you. Bye. Bye.